Alexis Nicole Nelson, and we are here in my backyard in scenic Columbus, Ohio. Y'all wanna see a huge mushroom? My mom, who's like such an avid gardener, when she would work in the garden, I would usually be tasked with going and finding the edible weeds around our yard to bring in and add to dinner, lunch, snacks, what have you. She had developed a lot of her love of plants from her mother, my Nana, so she really got to pass that love of growing things and plants in general onto my mom, who then passed it down onto me. I'm using ocean water to pickle these beets. So I just developed this near obsession with snackable plants that really followed me all the way into adulthood. And in terms of social media, I mean, as a younger millennial, I was pretty much raised by the internet in part. I think internet was all of our third parent. Unbeknownst to me until way later in life, I'd kind of been honing, getting better at making good content. Things that people want to read, things that people want to watch, things that people want to share. And then when I had my marketing job at Bark, I really got to hone my skills there, because if you can make content that can sell things, you can honestly make good content that does anything else. I'd say a year or two into my time at Bark, I had started posting on what at that time was a Finsta of mine, because I was worried about bothering my friends and my family with all of my plant nonsense in my posts and in my Instagram stories. So I decided one day, I'm just gonna make a plant Finsta, and I was deciding what name to choose, and I was lamenting to my boss. She also forages, and she was just like, oh, well, you were talking about how you feel like you don't see a lot of people who look like you out in the world of foraging online, so maybe it should speak to that. And I was like, oh yeah, you're right, I'm just gonna call myself Black Forager. And I started posting mostly essays and, still photos. And as time progressed, TikTok kind of came into the picture. And I just tested a million different things and got more comfy with video editing and having my face in content. And people really were resonating with all of the foraging videos I was putting up. I love having this yard. It's my happy place. So, starting actually right here, we have some violet leaves. Violets, of course, very famous for making those pretty purple flowers in the springtime, but a lot of people don't know that their leaves are also a great leafy green. Here we have some wood sorrel. The seed pods do explode, but they are delicious. I'm trying to see if any of them are ripe enough to, oh, that one just did in my hands. I ruined it. Oh, that one is just shooting seeds out right now. But they're tiny, so it's hard to see. But if you catch them before they're shooting seeds out, one, they look like little bananas, and two, they are so tart and tasty. The whole plant is really tart and tasty, but I feel like the mini bananas are the best. Let's see what else we have going on here. Some black nightshade, which is currently flowering. If you catch the greens before the plant is flowering, you can cook them and eat them. Here we have Spanish needles, Biden's by Panata, which stays really nice and tender all summer. And I love their lacy leaves, though it does often get confused with ragweed. And it kind of tastes like cilantro and parsley had a baby. So if you're one of the cilantro soap people, maybe stay away from this one. But everyone else should enjoy it. And this is our big old patch of lamb's quarters. This is Chanopodium alba, white goosefoot. And I love that we just have these lush patches of it in the backyard. And if you just keep breaking off the tender tops, they will just keep growing through the rest of the growing season. Though I do let some of them go to seed so we can get their tasty seeds to make things like cereal, or you can pop them and add them into dishes like itty bitty tiny little popcorns. I love being able to come back here to come eat a snack, get a snack, make a snack when I just need to take a breather in between meetings. Being a creator in Ohio I absolutely love it because my content is nature-centric, and here I'm a stone's throw away from the foothills of the Appalachian Mountains. You know, I could be at the Great Lakes in a couple hours. I love what I have access to living here. I'm usually very hard pressed to leave like a foraging excursion with absolutely nothing, just because there's almost always like greens to be harvesting or seeds from things to be harvesting. And thankfully we just have so many native edible plants here in this part of Ohio that as long as you know what to be looking for, you can be finding things most times of the year. So, can you do it everywhere? Yes. Should you do it everywhere? No. A lot of, especially state parks, national parks, have rules put in place prohibiting foraging completely, or at least curbing it a great deal. If we want to talk about how much of my diet is foraged food, it depends on the time of year. This time of year, I can have entire days when everything that I am eating is foraged because there's so much in season, both like roughage, low calorie things like lots of different greens, and also some sugary, higher calorie things like fruit. My tagline, now I guess somewhat famously, which feels weird to say, is happy snacking, don't die. And honestly, when I first started filming foraging content, my partner, who is an attorney, was just like, you need to remind people that they need to stay alive and that foraging, as fun as it is a little scary sometimes. And I really just thought happy snacking, comma, don't die was such a perfect way to encapsulate that. It's still reminding you that what you're doing can be such a fun, joyous, and interesting activity, but it is reminding you to be careful. I am not afraid of eating things that are poisonous because I don't eat things unless I'm 100% sure of what they are, and I think that should be everybody's rule. Oh, here we have Sochan. I am actually gonna gather a few of these leaves to cook with our milkweed buds. And thankfully, a few of these leaves really do go a long way because they're huge, and in terms of flavor. We're gonna go ahead and give these greens a nice little chopperoonie so we can get ready to blanch them. I do not have amazing knife skills. Not that anybody should be worried that something terrifying is going to happen. I'm just a slow chopper, so don't judge me. There we go. And now these guys are going to go into some boiling water so we can give them a little blancheroonie. Let's go ahead and get these guys into the water. Well, some of them didn't make it in, that's okay. And we're gonna go ahead and let those guys do their thing for about a minute. When your ice machine is broken, you use bag ice. There we go. And now I'm gonna start scooping these guys up. Blanching is great because it kind of breaks down a little bit of the plant fibers. It makes them this beautiful shade of green, and then plunging them into the ice water stops them from continuing to cook so they don't get too mushy. And let me cut the heat. Get some of the last of these greens out. There we go. Let these guys finish cooling down. Now I'm going to take these and wring them out of their excess water. And what we're gonna do with these is get some salt and quick pickle them because they quick pickle like a dream.
I'm Olivia and I'm friends with Alexis. I met her during college and we've just been friends ever since. Just here helping her prep with something that she, was out and about and foraging, and just make some tasty snacks. Sometimes we make full dinners together, and sometimes we just make, a little things here and there. So that's what we're doing today. The way I got into foraging was definitely through Alexis. I was not an outdoorsy person at all. You had to like convince me to go outside. And honestly, with foraging, you know, we kind of started going together at the start of the pandemic because it was a really safe way for us to hang out because we had the distance, we could do it with a mask. But then it was also interesting. Like for me, there was a point to being outside. It wasn't just to reach the end of a trail, but we got to like meander and mosey and like look at different curious things, and we got to have a lot of conversation about like what could we do with this in cooking. We've cooked together since we were in college, and so being able to incorporate all of these unique ingredients and try and see like what are they adjacent to that's normally used in the kitchen, I found super interesting. And it was nice because we just got to have fun and be able to hang out in like a very weird time in the world.
And there we go.
So what is it?
It is some vegan feta mixed with some foraged wild greens, and it is drizzled with a fermented Juneberry syrup and topped with fermented Juneberries.
Fantastic.
Turning a hobby into a profession is a joy some days, and honestly, it's a drag some days. Some days I wake up and I'm so excited that I get to just go outside and be my normal, silly, loud, curious, often hungry self. But some days you don't necessarily want to be doing the thing. You know, we all take breaks from our hobbies sometimes, but when it's your job, sometimes you just gotta do it anyway. I would say, honestly, my biggest hurdle has been my own mental health. There are a lot of things about social media that are ready to push your buttons. We're humans, and our silly little primate brains, we're literally not wired to be receiving this much feedback about ourselves. Like ever, and certainly not in a very short period of time. So I've just had to get better at putting up a barrier and like honestly getting a bit of a tougher skin.
Thank you.
I love you guys as pink bowls.
I'm so excited for the Juneberries on top.
The drizzle of the Juneberry, like choosing one of the fermented fruit syrups was a stroke of genius, Olivia.
Oh, I was like, you're the one that wanted something sweet on top. I did not contribute to this.
When you walked in, you're like, you need some.
Yeah, we need syrup right now.
I don't know what you're making, but put syrup on it.
Sugar.
So Alexis on camera, like out in the world persona versus Alexis at home persona are extraordinarily similar people. I would say there is like 95% overlap in that Venn diagram.
She's really not that different. I think the same type of jokes, the same songs, all of those things are the things that you definitely see when you hang out with her. And she's an extremely encouraging person, not just on camera, but also like in life. I know that's probably why she has like a lot of friends, because she's just such a positive person to be around. It's like a ray of sunshine. Having like a big personality, being able to show that, you know, on camera, filming herself, I think really plays into like why her content is so different than other foragers. Also, like she's always been into the environment, and I believe like even majored at one point in environmental engineering. I don't think that she does this because she wants to have a career in it. I think she does it because she's passionate.
Growing up, I knew culturally that Black people were not known for spending a lot of time in the great outdoors. I would go to these overnight camps in the woods, and if I was lucky, there would be another person of color at camp. And when I got to junior high school, I just remember especially a lot of the other like Black women in my class being like, oh, you were out hiking this weekend. Why? Like, por qué? Pourquoi? Like, what were you doing out there? That's not where we go, that's not what we do. And it wasn't until I got older that I realized how deliberate that was. After slavery was abolished, so many laws were put into place during the advent of the Jim Crow era, during the Reconstruction era, that like disincentivized people of color from a lot of different things, one of which was feeling safe spending time outdoors. And also a lot of those laws cut off the places where you legally could be spending time outdoors. If you were working on a plantation and you were foraging on that land before emancipation, people weren't really gonna think twice about that. But afterwards, especially when some people of color, some indigenous people, black people were thinking, oh, I can support myself and my family now with these skills. A lot of like farmers who now needed sharecroppers were like, absolutely not, because if you're making your own money that way, how am I going to get you back and pay you pennies a day to sharecrop on my land that you were working on for free? So what happened is, starting in the South and then kind of spreading to the rest of the country really, trespass went from being a civil offense in which maybe, you'd get a verbal warning, maybe you would get a small fine, to suddenly becoming a criminal offense in which you could be doing jail time, in which like the fines would be something that could put a family under, set a family back in ways that were really debilitating. And if you didn't own land, then suddenly where were you going to be foraging? The park system was also at its advent in the late 1800s. And so suddenly these huge swaths of land were also being parceled off, and people were being told, you cannot be foraging here even if you had been foraging here before. And all of those things added together really over the course of 2 generations took these groups of people who were very used to being very outdoorsy and having all of these skills like foraging, trapping, fishing, and systematically took it away from them. Because why put yourself at risk? Why put yourself at risk of violence? Why put yourself at risk of financial ruin, of being arrested and then not being able to find a job and really not being able to provide for your family? It wasn't worth the risk. So they stopped. And it doesn't take very long for generational knowledge to disappear. Once the last generation that was practicing it is gone, reclamation becomes really difficult, which is why when I was naming my page Black Forager, I was just like, I want people to know that this content is being made by a Black woman. But the reason why I want them to know that is much deeper. There are now several hundred years of us needing to reiterate that the outdoors are for us too. I feel very lucky to have landed in the community that we landed in. There are a whole lot of initiatives here in Columbus. Just in our neighborhood, we have a coalition called Franklinton Forest, which every spring, any neighbor that wants one can sign up to get a free native tree planting in their yard. And this particular neighborhood historically has been pretty poor. A lot of times, especially in lower income or in previously redlined communities, you see a lack of tree cover, and a lack of canopy directly correlates with higher temperatures during summer. It directly correlates with more heat-related illness and deaths, especially in elderly people in these neighborhoods. And so for me, being able to get more trees into people's yards, especially at no cost, is so important. We also have a local farm cooperative called Franklinton Farms, which took a bunch of the empty lots in the neighborhood and converted them into like volunteer heavy farms. And you can do like a choose your own price farm share bag. So every week we get produce that was literally grown within a mile radius of where we live. And we pay the full amount so that other people who can't pay the full amount have access to that fresh food. I am hoping to see more communities kind of taking hold of these spaces and making them more green themselves. Because a lot of those things are really hard to legislate on a state or a federal level, but you can enact a lot of change on a local level. I love being able to do things to raise funds for some of these different initiatives, like offering foraging walks. I just hope as I get older to be able to be involved in more of these types of projects.
Rhett, Link, thanks for joining us today. Thrilled to have you here. First question, talk to me about what the Rhett and Link brand is. How do you stand out in this sea of creators, implementers, all the platforms?
Well, our brand is called Mythical because when we met, which was the first day of first grade, we were both held in from recess for writing nasty words on our desks. And our teacher told us that we had to color pictures of mythical beasts. So that origin story is what our fans picked up on. They started calling themselves mythical beasts. So then we called our company Mythical. And when we launched our talk show, Good Mythical Morning, when we knew we had to add a word mythical.
Yeah, we've got to have mythical in everything. And
It's cool.
it can be a little bit confusing. People think that it means fictitious, not real. We're really doing our best to rebrand mythical because we are real. And we have been friends forever, which I think that is the thing that sets us apart. And it's the thing you can't control. It's like when people find out, they're like, did you really meet in 1984 and you're still best friends and you still work together and you still enjoy each other's company?
But you can kind of control your friends. I mean, I choose every day to still be your friend. Some days are harder than others to make that.
And you also try to control me.
I do, yes.
Out of all the other digital content, what do you guys stand for? What do people tune in to see?
We're all about creativity, community, comedy, and I think that our friendship is kind of the core of where everything is built, right? So I think that there is this bond that the two of us have that, we were just trying to create things to make people laugh. But what we ended up finding is that a lot of what the appeal was is people just wanted to be the third friend in this duo, right? So when you hang out with us, we speak directly to an individual person when we do our show, because we're inviting you to, hey, come and be a part of this friend group. We're hanging out. So I think that
We talk to you.
That's a vibe.
And who is this person? Who is the you? Do you have like a nickname for that person? Do you picture them in your head? Is it a certain demographic? Who is the third leg to the stool here?
I try not to be specific when I picture that one person, but somebody who's willing to hang out with both of us for many, many hours, for over 2,000 episodes. So it's someone who has a lot of patience and has a very interesting taste in comedy.
Growing up, were you two like the class clowns? They had to separate you. Make sure Rhett and Link were in different classes because you're going to disrupt the whole thing.
Well, our town was too small for there to be two classes.
Oh, that's very small.
So they just kind of separated us, in
Other sides of the room.
Yeah, proximity in the class. But yeah, I think that is where it started, when we began to see, oh, there's a way you can draw attention to yourself. I mean, everybody is in this business because they're a little bit full of themselves and want to be the center of attention. Hopefully not too much where it becomes like, your downfall, but just enough to keep you going for a long time. And I think that when we saw that people responded, not just to us individually, but us together, there was some dynamic that they were observing. And then we began to learn what it was that was appealing about that and be able to package that in a way that was entertaining to an audience, but also fun for us to do for a very, very long time.
You've been at this since the beginning, but even before that, you both had other careers, both engineers. How did you go from your more analytical, scientific jobs to be like, you know what, let's bring the band back together and do this crazy YouTube thing, which was back then very crazy and pioneering? What was that spark that got you into show business, I guess?
I think that the engineering aspects of our brains helped us tenaciously approach digital media at every turn. I mean, we always talked about it and still talk about it as kind of the Wild West, the frontier. Everybody's figuring it out. You don't know exactly what the rules are. You certainly don't know how to make money. You have to figure it out. So we've been using the barter system for almost 20 years now.
What are you trading with me?
Well, we trade
shirts?
we trade with other people. I guess
We pretty much have the same shirt on, but that's only because when we showed up, they gave us the shirts.
And there's different shades of, delicate shades of blue. Very nice.
Yeah. Well, and I think, to the engineering point, it's funny because when you're a creator, you're not just in the business of creating, you're also in the business of analytics, right? Because the way that we analyze what we do is through this incredible data that these platforms like YouTube provide. And you don't want to read too much into that because it can become this endless chasing of the algorithm and trying to anticipate what the system is going to reward. But if you don't do that, at least to some level, and you just try to embrace the pure artistry of just being a creator, a lot of times you'll end up doing something that doesn't feed into the algorithm at all. And so I think that there's just been this balance between, the left brain and right brain of there's an artist, inside the two of us, and we want to do things that are creative and original and innovative to us, but we also want to do something that's practical, that actually connects with an audience, that you can build a brand around. So I think that that's where the analytical side enters the process.
In terms of that balance, is very interesting because, yes, you want to create, you want to be original, but at the same time, whether it's trends or algorithms, you need to kind of be in the zeitgeist or on that bandwagon. So how do you kind of find okay, we're putting our Rhett link, stamp on this, but you also have to kind of ride that wave. How do you go about that?
we still start with what we want to put out into the world. How we want to express ourselves. We know that we'll put our best foot forward. We know we're good at talking to each other. We've always done a lot of that. At a certain point, we realized, let's stop talking to each other unless we're on camera. I mean, not to that extreme.
We don't. As soon as this camera shuts off, we won't speak to each other for the rest of the day.
Yep.
I don't blame either one of you. Sons.
Yeah, right.
38 years of friendship. We're like an old married couple. There's not a lot that's left unsaid, but we still find a lot of things to say. My point is,
What's your point?
when we're good at talking to each other, and we also wanted to set this challenge artistically to say, okay, we're not going to do a bunch of jump cuts. And so when we were formulating Good Mythical Morning as a format, we put those two things together, and it fed into the algorithm where YouTube was incentivizing longer watch time.
And that was actually unintentional. The reason that we ended up not doing jump cuts is because we didn't want to have to edit the video. Because in the early days when we started Good Mythical Morning, we would show up, we would record the conversation, and we would turn around, edit it, and post it. Really sort of a precursor show to Good Mythical Morning called Good Morning Chia Lincoln, but that's
A story for another time.
a story for another time. But
It's not Forbes worthy.
the idea being that we've always done things with this practical approach. Be like, how do you get a video up every single day where you can't overthink it and you can't spend too much time editing it? So you know what? We won't edit it. It'll just be an uncut conversation. And it forced us into this place where we had to be able to fill the air, without awkward pauses or cuts or, different camera angles. And then we stumbled into what the algorithm was rewarding at the time, with YouTube suddenly being very interested in the number of minutes that a person would spend in a session. And so all of a sudden we just found our videos were being served up one after another, and this what we considered a side project as Good Mythical Morning eclipsed our original YouTube channel very quickly in terms of just daily audience.
Real quick, give me the background story of when you decided to just start making YouTube videos.
So we had been making videos as on the side, right? Because we didn't know what we were going to do with this comedy thing. We would get together one night a week. We would write songs. That was a big part of the original thing, was just, writing funny songs
And you're
together.
still working day jobs at this point.
Yes.
Yeah.
And
This is 5 years before YouTube existed.
yeah.
We were engineers at the time.
But what we would do is we would upload the videos to a website, redlink.com, and people would ask us, they would say, why don't you guys have a YouTube? Once YouTube came out in 2005, they were like, why don't you guys have YouTube? We were like, well, and it was a YouTube at the time. Why don't you have a YouTube? Well, we don't need a YouTube because we have a website, right? But then when people literally took our videos from our website, downloaded them, and re-uploaded them to YouTube without our permission, and they got more views than we got in a year, and in a week, we were like, we should do that intentionally. And that was when we began creating videos on purpose for YouTube. And then around 2006, 2007 is when we said, I think we can support ourselves in doing this by talking brands into being in our videos.
Can you think back on one video that really caught on and kind of sparked a breakthrough for you guys?
We wrote a song about Facebook and uploaded it to YouTube. Go figure.
Yeah.
But then Facebook launched a thing called The Wall where you could embed a video. And so our Facebook song went viral on Facebook, and then we started getting contacted by marketing agencies because everyone was trying to figure out, okay, how do brands get involved in this medium? These guys have figured it out. Of course, that's what we told them.
Yeah, we found brands that were small and new and willing to experiment and wanted to get involved in the online thing, and just wrote the agreements ourselves and talked them into these CPM deals that we were just kind of like reading on the internet. And this was so in the early stages of trying to figure out how you went about this. And so we just kind of invented a system that we were like, I don't know, how much should we charge for this? Let's see what we can charge for it.
We were very motivated to develop a business model because we each had kids already. And so we wanted to be able to buy groceries.
So we encourage all young creators to have children. That's really, that's the business play.
Yeah, see me.
Yeah.
But speaking of business model, how do you guys make money today? Fast forward, going from the old days to now. What is it's gone beyond videos to a brand to you are a media enterprise. How does that enterprise make money?
Ad revenue, merchandising, paid fan club, and then we pursue all different types of distribution opportunities. We just launched a 24 hours a day, 7 days a week mythical channel on Roku. We developed we've put out enough content that we can power our own cable channel, basically.
The core of the business is still ads, right? So once the YouTube Partner Program started, that has always been, the core for the foundation, the biggest piece of the pie. Over the past 15 years, that number has gotten larger, but the size of the piece of that pie has gotten smaller in relation to all the other business lines that we've created. And at this point, there's different forms of ad revenue because there's brand integrations, there's direct integrations, that kind of thing. But I would say that, our merch business back when we first started like selling a T-shirt, we would be like, I don't know, how many T-shirts can you sell, like different actual T-shirts can you, not individual units, but just like a SKU. How many SKUs can you sell to a fan base in a year? We'd be like, I don't know, maybe we should do like a new T-shirt every quarter. I think at this point we're launching 5 to 6 SKUs every week at mythical.com.
All T-shirts or
just all kinds of products.
If you can dream it, we can sell it. And as long as our audience is along for the ride, and it's fun. It's fun we sold shoes over a decade ago.
We've got lip balm, beard oil, pomade, lotion, cologne, a musical cone that you can play. We've had a puzzle,
a shower curtain.
Yeah, I mean,
did you guys decide this? Or did you have like a marketer who's like, I have a great idea for you all?
So this is all internal team at this point. So we have an incredible merch team that in a design team, they're constantly developing new concepts. And also, a big part of it is just driven by surveying our fans and asking the mythical beasts what they want. What do they want to see? You're kind of reading the tea leaves a little bit to see what kinds of patterns and the products that they respond to.
Tea leaves, we should sell those.
We could probably, we don't put it past us. We will have tea at some point.
Yeah. And we've got a great team. I mean, we've got over 100 employees working with us out of our studio in Burbank. So it's, we learned to empower people to do things who can do them better than we can. Yeah. And I think that was a big key in terms of growing our studio and being able to branch out and say, you know what, here's another way, not just to make money, but another way to reach our audience, to deepen that relationship.
That's amazing that, a decade ago you were engineers moonlighting, making videos, and now you're running a 100-person plus Burbank media studio. How do you make that jump, both like lifestyle-wise, from moonlighting to moguls? How do you get into that? How do you teach yourself to build that?
Write that down. Moonlight.
Moonlighted and moguls.
You can sell that too.
I think that it's been so iterative, right? Thankfully, there wasn't one moment, one viral moment or one video that was the thing that suddenly brought us into people's consciousness. It was, we would have something that would sort of ping and hit a little bit, and then we would, and it wasn't always the same thing. It was a different genre, right? You know, in the early days, it was the music videos, and then it was the sketches, and then we did local commercials that got a lot of traction. And actually, it was the reason that we moved out to California, was to make a television show around that. And then we started doing Good Mythical Morning. And little by little, it's been hiring people with, like, we have an idea, and we're like, well, we need help in order to do that. And so you hire the team to do that. And then you're just like, well, now we need to add this on. Well, let's hire the team to do that. And the next thing you know, you've got this, you're a corporation, right? And you find yourself never really having called yourself a CEO, realizing that you're these co-CEOs of this company, and yet you want to be a creator, but you realize you got to lead this team at the same time. You've got to delegate responsibility, you got to find the right people to do the right things. So I just think that there are times when we sit back and, you know, you might walk into the studio and be like, I think that must be one of the new interns. I should probably introduce myself, right? How many weeks have they been here? I feel bad that I haven't introduced myself yet. But that's a sign that we've got
They're all great, and I know them very well.
We've got a great team that's created this incredible mythical machine that we can actually take a step back, focus on creating at the same time. But it wasn't an overnight thing. It was so iterative and building it piece by piece that there was never this moment where it was like, oh, things are different. Yet looking back retrospectively, it's different.
And I think the main key is listening to our audience. They told us what was valuable to them, and we began to realize what mythical represented in their lives after they did, in a lot of ways. We started to realize that mythical is a place where comedy and curiosity create meaningful community, a place where they feel like they belong. They know us, they trust us, they're a part of our friend group. That's something we learned from them. So it's not something, so we didn't cash in, we built around it together.
And talking about building and community, you're with the many lines of business, but you're also investing in the space, in creators and studios. Tell me about how that kind of your investment division came up, and what's the latest, what's going on?
We launched a program called the Mythical Creator Accelerator, where we invest in up-and-coming creators that meet certain criteria. We own a piece of their business, and then we work alongside them to help them grow that, learning from everything that we built at Mythical, now kind of giving them everything in our toolkit.
We wanted to invest. You know, we've been successful. We've got, we've had great profits at Mythical, and we wanted to be wise with that and reinvest in the ideas that we had. But also, we're like, why not invest in the industry that you understand the best, which is the creator economy? And seeing that there are so many creators out there who they're embarking on their career and they're starting out, and they're about to answer this long list of questions and to cross all these bridges to try to create a brand for themselves. And these are all questions that we've answered and all bridges that we've crossed over the past decade plus.
And we didn't have anybody to emulate when we were doing it.
So, hey, we've got this playbook that we can just offer to a creator and also make a great financial investment. So by, giving them some cash to get some equity back, they can begin to build out a team. They can begin to take those steps to build a brand around themselves, and then we can watch that grow and benefit from it as well.
And not burn out in the process.
Do you reach out to them? Do they apply to you? Are you looking to have, a diverse portfolio? Like, oh, this person's big on this platform. This person is into food. This person's a comedian. This person is into education. Like, how do you build that portfolio of personalities?
It's all outbound right now, right? So we're looking at, we're constantly evaluating creators and reaching out to people who, we want to make sure that they've already demonstrated that they can build an audience on their own. Like they've got something that people are attracted to. And then once we sit down and talk to them, we find out, hey, do you want to build something bigger than yourself? Do you need a team? Do you have these needs to build something around yourself? Or do you just want to keep being a creator and just do? A lot of creators would be like, I want to keep doing the editing. This part, I find joy in that. I want to keep this thing small. We're like, okay, well, this is probably not a great partnership. But if you want to build a team and you want to build a brand, maybe build a legacy that at one point, maybe in the future, you could step back and it still would exist beyond you, then we know how to do that.
And we're looking to diversify across a number of verticals. I mean, we started in musical comedy, then we moved to commentary, and now to home decor, design.
How many followers and fans do you have right now across the mythical landscape?
That's a good question.
We entrust that to other people.
Gotcha.
So that we can stay focused on the right things. So if we, a zillion, man. We got a zillion people.
You have a massive influential platform. When brands come to collaborate, how do you decide that this brand fits with our brand? What do you look for when doing these deals with outside companies to pitch, cross promote, you name it?
In a lot of ways, it works itself out because a brand will take a look at our audience, our demographic, and who we reach, which incidentally is very broad, right? I mean, I would say that 18 to 34 is kind of our bread and butter, but we have people younger than that, and we have a lot of people older than that. So very, very broad audience. When we meet, you meet a family, when you're out and about and you're like, I don't know if the teenage son or the dad or the mom is a bigger fan. So I think we might do something that, this product appeals to dads like us, or this product, this is more of like, teens getting started out who need a checking account or something like that. So I think that we're not going to do a brand and not work with a brand that we don't believe in or we think is doing something unethical or doesn't make sense in terms of this is a product or a service that our fans could use. But because the content, we have so much content, we have so many opportunities for integrations, and we have such a broad audience that actually we find ways to work with a lot of different brands, and we actually like to use a brand's identity and their message as inspiration for creative at times.
What is the secret of building a massive loyal audience?
I really do think it's listening to them and understanding what benefit they're receiving. The letters. As old school as it sounds, even the letters, someone who takes the time to write a letter about how they were in the hospital going through a certain type of treatment and the constant daily release on our show. Well, that sounded weird. Yeah, constant daily release on our show.
Yeah, you said it though.
The fact that they could watch Good Mythical Morning every day, it became comfort viewing for them. So we started to realize, this is a service we're providing. This is a way that our friendship connects with people.
And I think there's a balance between the listening to the audience and the innovating and doing the thing that you want to do as an original creator, right? So you have to do something that is true to your vision and make the kind of content that you wish somebody else would have made. And then once an audience begins to connect with it, they're going to be, essentially our network executive is our audience. And so when you make a television show, which we've done a few of those, and honestly, it's not as great of a process as just making content for an audience. But in the way that you take into account their notes and their POV, I think that we do that with our audience. And so you're not just creating in a vacuum, you are creating for this audience that's giving you constant feedback. But the starting point is not anticipating what they want, but making the thing that you want to make and then letting them shape it. And I think finding that balance as a creator is a way to have a loyal audience that doesn't feel like you're just sitting there doing exactly what they want. You're surprising them, you're creating new things, but there's a conversation that they feel like they're a part of.
You mentioned before, I want to flip it on the brand side, from the brand perspective, and you mentioned that you have a very broad audience base, which is great. A lot of creators have very specific niches. If an outside company or outside brand, what must they think about before partnering with a specific creator in terms of authenticity, right match? Like, what should these companies be thinking before they write a big check to a creator to, vouch for their brands?
I think that a big part of it is a brand wants to know that whatever the content is, whatever the integration is, makes them look better, right? Which frankly is not the easiest thing to navigate with the creator economy, right? You're not dealing with networks and companies. You're dealing with individuals that might be going through like a mental health crisis, right? And they may decide that, well, I can't even make the video that you wanted me to make. And so I think that it's a difficult thing to navigate. I think the way that we've set it up at Mythical is you are dealing with a brand, you're dealing with a team, you're dealing with a show that has a schedule. It's a reliable machine that you're not going to be embarrassed by the way that the content is integrated. You're going to get exactly what you paid for. But I think that's what, does the audience make sense for the brand? And is the content going to be something that they're happy to be associated with?
How do you balance serving your fans and delivering what they want, but then also serving your business and what the money side needs? How do you work out that balance?
We've always talked about how brands enable us to elevate our content and our audience's experience. So we would create spaces, whether that's on our podcast or within the integration itself or in an interview, to take the opportunity to educate our audience that this is a win-win. So I think that's part of it.
I think another part of it is, when you move beyond integrations to the things that we actually sell to our audience. And like I said earlier, we sell a lot of things to our audience, all these SKUs. And then we've got our Mythical Society where people are paying a monthly fee to be a part of this community that gets exclusive content. They get exclusive collectible items that come out every quarter and access to a lot of different things. For us, we're trying to make sure that every touch point where a fan can spend money, they're actually receiving something of real value to them, right? We won't ever get close to doing something that is some like exploiting our audience for a quick buck, right? Like because we know that, hey, next year we're going to be coming back to you with another thing that we're offering. And your experience this year is going to determine your likelihood to pay for another experience next year.
And that's why we haven't, for example, jumped on the crypto bandwagon. When that was really starting to take off, there were just so many ideas, but it wasn't clear to us what the value to our audience was. So we said, you know what? We don't need to be on the front lines of this, and we can learn and make a calculated decision on their behalf
and we like
down the road.
We like to wait, actually. Even there was an initial wave of creators writing books. A lot of them were really bad, right? But they sold well.
Yeah.
Because the audience said, oh, I get a book from this creator. We sat back and we like to watch the first wave of something and see what lessons we can learn. And then we say, okay, well, when we entered this space, when we published our first book, which was the Book of Mythicality, which I don't even know what year that was now, we want there to be something that when people take it, open it up, and hold it in their hands, it feels valuable, right? It feels like it actually captures what we were trying to put on the page, and it's something they can experience and feel the value of. And so I think that's what we do. We try to be very sensitive to ever saying yes to something that is very clearly just finding a way to make money from your audience.
Is there one dream person that you could collaborate with?
We really want to work with Lionel Richie. I mean, and here's the thing, he knows this. Let me tell you the things that we have done, right? So back in college, we did Project Lionel, where we got everyone who came into our dorm room for a year to sit down on our couch and do the Lionel pose from his self-titled album, right under the fold-out album, right above our couch.
So this is a dream going way back.
Yeah. But then we've done Project Lionel on tour before, where we get people up there and we grade their Lionel pose. We've done.
Every guest that comes on Good Mythical Morning does the Lionel pose on our couch. Oh, you want to do it right now?
This is too short of a couch.
Just get up.
You can do it.
I can do it. Stand behind the couch.
See the post. You can be the poster in the back.
Because in our dorm room, the album was on the wall, and then said, "Hey, I want to have a record of you being," and so the foot comes up under here, I need to have on white pants.
Yes. Next shoot.
And then the thumbs have to touch. This has to be a right angle. And then it's just one of these.
And then
This is Lionel, your official invite to your Forbes.
well, no, listen. He's
Lionel,
invited.
come on.
In fact, let me tell you right
Come
now.
on, Lionel.
Lionel is friends with Sugar Ray Leonard, and Sugar Ray was on the show and saw all the Lionel poses and was like, I'm going to text Lionel right now. He's sitting there texting Lionel, and then we sang.
He's playing hard to get.
We sang all night long. Lionel's famous song, All Night Long, literally all night long for 11 hours. We sang that song and recorded ourselves singing that song. And I don't know, apparently he's too busy. So Lionel Richie, that's my dream collaboration.
I guess I'll have to ask why. You definitely showed me why. And you guys mentioned legacy before. What is the legacy of Rhett and Link and everything, and Mythical and everything you've put together? What is your dream for this?
What we call mythicality, which is, as Link stated, it's this curiosity and creativity that builds community. We want to have a community of people who have gathered around these things that we've created and kind of created their own momentum, and we've got other people at Mythical who are creating their own content that we may have been involved in the initial stages, but we've got Mythical Kitchen, and they've got their Mythical Kitchen universe that they are developing, and they've got their own fans. I just think that this mythical enterprise that we have started, where people are making content that is true to themselves, that is building this community, around itself, we would just like to believe that could live on beyond us, and inspire other creators to make content that is true to themselves, but also gathers a community around it.
Yeah, I would say I think our legacy is the power of friendship. I think that it brings comfort, and there's few things more powerful than a good-hearted laugh shared with friends, and that's the energy that we're putting out into the world, and I'm proud of it.
This Rhett and Link Corporation has been going on since first grade and through college. You guys are roommates in college too. Which
Yeah.
With all those years together and running this company that's ballooned into a 100-person, studio, how do you get along? How do you roll through disputes, disagreements, differences of creative opinion, business opinion? How has that worked out for you?
Mud wrestling.
Mud wrestling?
Yeah.
38 years of friendship is a long time. And yeah, when you build your whole company and your brand around that, we've learned that you got to invest in the relationship.
Did you skip a year? Because I've been friends with you for 39 years.
Oh, really? Yeah, it took.
It might just stop.
Took you a little bit counting.
It might just felt longer.
Stay out of this.
Yeah, we have. We are committed to communicating through our issues, right? And there are issues. We have creative differences. We get on each other's nerves when you work in the same office with someone for
that hurts my feelings.
For
you say that.
However many years it's been. I mean, originally our desks were facing each other, then they were side by side, and now they're on opposite sides of the office facing away.
But they're still in the same room.
But we haven't separated yet. I think it's constant communication, right? We don't ever sometimes it'll be like, okay, maybe a couple weeks have gone by and we haven't aired something out that needs to be aired out. But I think there's just a commitment to the friendship. If the friendship is the core of our business, right? And so if it becomes too much about the business partnership and not enough about the friendship, then it can begin to kind of crumble from the inside. So I think there's just attention paid to the communication and making sure that we talk through our difficulties and our challenges in the same way that you would do in any relationship.
Yeah, I love this guy no matter what, but he better not test me on it.
What do you mean test you?
I don't know. The things that you can do?
You mean like run to the edge of
of our relationship?
Of a canyon and then be like, I'm about to jump, are you gonna catch me?
Don't make it about that.
What advice would you give folks looking to get into the creator game right now, or people just starting out?
I think you have to learn how to do two things. You have to learn how to trust others with the right things and trust yourself with the right things. And you can't lean too heavily in either direction, right? If you only trust yourself, you're going to burn out very, very quickly. And if you only trust others...
I know, they get it. Don't tell them too much. I don't want to make any more complicated.
Okay, all right, yeah. It's about trust.
I feel like anybody I talk to who does this kind of job is anxious, and if they're not, they're sociopaths.
Top of the morning to you laddies. 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 Top of the morning to you. Top of the morning to you laddies.
I'm Sean McLaughlin. I go by Jacksepticeye online and I make YouTube videos. It's kind of a mixed bag. I started off playing video games on my channel and just reacting to those, and it blew up out of nowhere, and then I just kind of branched off, and now I do everything. I just react to content. I do games, I do sketch comedy, I've made short films, I've done interactive media, so for now it's kind of like whatever's creative and whatever's fun. I don't really tie myself to one genre anymore. Yeah, I started kind of very, very end of 2012. My plan initially was to do imitations or like impersonations and then do content around that and kind of be that character. And then I did it once and was like, this is terrible, I shouldn't upload this. So I was just watching a lot of people who would play games and kind of react to them and have fun that way. And I thought that was really cool. I just tried it out for myself to see if it would work. And I really liked the sort of editing process and kind of curating it and getting in, okay, what's my idea? What's my line to go through? And obviously it's all pretty bad when you start off, but it was kind of fun to have a project to do every day. And I was kind of aimless in my life at that time. So I was like, I need something to kind of like attach myself to. As I got better at it, more people start watching, it kind of snowballed really quickly. And then I don't know, I was kind of in it before I realized I was in it. I didn't really have any time to think about it or overthink.
March, May, I kind of said to myself, right, I'll hit 1,000 subscribers before I go back to college in September. And it's mid-July right now, and we already hit that goal.
Just hit 2,000 subscribers on YouTube.
Can you believe it? We just hit 400,000 subscribers. I can't believe I'm here sitting doing another subscriber milestone video 2 weeks after hitting 600,000. The channel is now at 700,000 subscribers. Congrats on getting the channel to 3 million subscribers. As of right now, the channel stands at 4 million people strong. Thank you guys so much for 11 million subscribers. Here is the one trick that I used to get 25 million subscribers on YouTube. And you can do it too. All right, are you listening? Get closer. I have no idea.
I was in college at the time, and when I finally started making like a decent living off of it, I started to earn enough to like pay rent and pay for amenities every month. And I was able to like rent a place on my own. I really started to be like, oh God, this is like my job now. I don't actually have to find work and actually do this full time. And I think that was the big moment where I was like, okay, I don't know how long this will last. It could all fall apart in the morning because it's so volatile. It can go either way. And especially at those lower numbers, I didn't really know what was going to happen. I think people think it's easy, that because you sit down and you play games, but I think there's so much more to it. Because when I started off, I'm like, I edit, I Photoshop, I record all this stuff. I do it multiple times a day. I did it 5.5 years without skipping a beat, twice every single day at the exact same time. And I think that sheer amount of effort that goes into it, like it is really, really hard work, but also comes the emotional side of it, which is a lot of anxiety and a lot of stress and trying not, there's no training for it. You're your own brand. If it grows quick and big like mine did, you kind of have to navigate that yourself and hope that you're dealing with it properly. And early on I wasn't, because there was a lot of like stuff that I had to work out about burnout and trying not to overwork myself, and there's no one telling you like to pull yourself back a little bit. I've always been quite a social person. I like hanging out with people, and I like talking with friends and playing games together. And I think when I was growing up in Ireland, there wasn't a whole lot of people that thought the same way I did and didn't play games the same way I did. And I thought I was some sort of a weirdo that, like, why am I playing games for so much time? So when I was online, there was more people that did that. And when you meet other YouTubers who are doing the same job, they all kind of get you, and there's like an unspoken bond between you. Kind of like, yeah, Say your truth, I get you. I would love to be that guy. I'd love to be like, I wake up 6 a.m. every morning, I meditate, I get my coffee in, I drink my top of the morning, and I comb my hair 1,000 times, and I just read my mantra to myself, and then write down all my ideas, and every one of them is great, so I have to just pick, but I'm not. I'm just like, I don't know, I didn't sleep well, my back hurts. And then I just roll into it. It's surprising that it's worked for as long as it has, because I keep waiting for it to not work, but people still watch, and I have that like imposter syndrome where I'm like, they're gonna find out eventually that I don't know what I'm doing. I'm in a fortunate position where if I attempt to do anything, I already have a built-in audience for it, which is what most new companies are trying to get, is how do we spread this to as many people as possible? And I'm just lucky enough I have a platform. I try not to take on the things that I'm not really excited about, and I think if I have a passion for it and I'm excited about it and I really want to do it, I think that shows a lot and people kind of follow along in the journey and it's kind of fun for them. And I think that's what people react to, because they can tell that it's kind of coming from a good, decent place and you're not trying to just pull the wool over their eyes and kind of like sell a product to them.
But it's finally time to announce Cloak, which is a clothing company and a clothing brand that Mark and I have come together to try and create.
Me and my friend Mark, or Markiplier as he's known on the internet, we came up with that idea together because we've done merch before and kind of like put our faces on stuff. But we were like, what would it be like if we went that extra step further and we kind of created something that had its own identity? And I think both of us kind of have an interest in clothing and fashion and that sort of world, and how can like we put our spin on it? How can we add our voice to it and kind of like make it fun? And it was something really creative and fun to do, and I think both of our strengths kind of play to that aspect when we kind of like get in a room together and we bash out ideas together. We've done some cool, fun stuff with it, and people have responded really well to it, and the clothing is really high quality, and we try and make it actually like really decent stuff for people to be able to get. I personally never want to do that thing where I'm just kind of like selling something and then never think about it again. And I think Mark is the same way, where we're both sort of proud to put our names on it and kind of work on stuff together. And especially with YouTubers starting brands, there's a sort of misconception about it sometimes. And we legitimately just wanted to make really, really good coffee that you could drink day after day.
I made my own coffee company, my own coffee brand, and it is called Top of the Morning Coffee.
I was just sitting down, I was like, I like coffee so much. And I'm like, can I make a coffee brand? I was like, I don't know if I can. Like, is that something that I'm even able to do? Do we know people that can make that happen? And then I thought of the name Top of the Morning Coffee, and I was like, oh, now we have to do it. That name's way too good not to do. And the more we did it, the more I was like, oh, we could do something actually really cool with this and have fun with it. And it was, the more I got into it and understood how everything worked, the more potential I saw in it, and I thought it was really cool. So then I just kind of ran with it, and I was like, if this fails, it'll be, at least it's like a cool thing to kind of experience and get into. But we tried really hard to make it like a cool, identifiable brand and got really into it. But I think the more we did it, we started to realize like there's not much of my personality in the branding, and I'm quite like an energetic, lively person and try and be positive about a lot of things. So we rebranded it. We kind of looked at it and stood back and we're like, okay, it kind of looks like other coffee brands, but we wanted to stand out on its own. And that's why we came up with like the yellow bags and the new logo to kind of like be a bit punchier, and our mascot's like a sun character. So we were like, what if the bag looks like a ray of sun sitting on your shelf? And the more we talked about it, we sat down with an agency and they kind of like asked me a whole bunch of questions, and they were like, oh, so you're all about this. And it was all about like absurd positivity. And I think they captured that quite well. I don't pretend to be like a business mogul where I'm going out and trying to be like a billionaire or anything like that. I just try and make fun things that people can react to and kind of have like an emotional attachment to as well, instead of it just being like, yeah, I buy it because it tastes good. Like it's so much more than that. It's kind of like an experience and a lifestyle for people at this point. I want to do it all, baby. No, I have tons of ideas. I want to like make comic books. I want to do narrative podcasts. I have like movie ideas. I have TV show ideas. I want to do more voice acting. I want to do more like mainline acting, because I'm in a very fortunate position that I get to like put my fingers in a lot of pies. I get to try out a lot of different things that a lot of people can't. So I don't want to take that for granted, and I want to take advantage of it wherever I can. I think anybody that wants to be a creator should try. It certainly afforded me a lot of great things in my life, and all the people I know and the person that I am today is all because of that kind of stuff. So I'm not going to say don't try it. I think it's really cool. There's not one way of doing it. There's a million different ways to do it, and people are really clever and really funny. And I think if they get to show the world that in a short form or a long form or on Instagram, on Twitter, wherever you want to do it, I think that's cool.
Dylan, thank you so much for being here today.
Thank you. Hi, Forbes. This is amazing.
So tell me about what inspired your Days of Girlhood videos. And for everyone who doesn't know, can you please explain what they are and what they turned into?
Sure. Days of Girlhood was sort of a video series that I started because I was at the beginning of my transition and I was looking to all these iconic trans women, but not knowing how to get from point A to point B. And I thought, okay, well, why not, take my followers along on this journey? And it was originally supposed to just sort of be like comedy. It was supposed to be lighthearted and fun. And I think over this last year, I found a lot of vulnerability and depth that I didn't even know was there. And it's been really beautiful and also hard at times, but I don't regret anything.
As a creative, what's it been like for you to then shift from that creative mindset into the business side of things with sponsored posts and promotions and things like that?
I think I'm becoming a bit of a businesswoman.
Ooh.
As much as I love the creative side, I love getting smarter. I want to know everything and I want to know how it all works. I'm really interested, not, of course, being in front of the camera, but I love the idea of producing and I think why not learn it all?
Now, I think for me and for a lot of people, because you are so social media forward and you're so out there, a lot of people kind of view you as the spokesperson for the trans community. Did you set out to do that when you started these videos?
Oh no, really? I never wanted or intended to be a spokesperson for the community. And I think I just ask for grace as I'm learning so many things and navigating this, not only transness, but also this newfound success. It's happened really fast. And I think that's what's so crazy about social media is I think it kind of launches people at a rate that not a lot of other mainstream media does or can. And I really am now looking to sort of not take a back seat. I want to stay really active in my advocacy work, but I want to decide when, where, and how I'm going to show up as an activist.
Switching back to the business a little bit,
Sure.
What is the one business rule that you operate by no matter what?
Oh, I love this. My agent, Stephanie, she always says, don't react, respond. And so if something happens in my life, I often will either at least sleep on it, but sometimes it's taking a few extra days to really make sure that, I'm not coming out of a place of anger or anxiety or frustration, and that it's purely who I am and can operate on a really neutral level.
You were, in the spotlight earlier this year after there was some backlash with the sponsored posts.
Yes.
Has this experience affected who you partner with going forward?
Absolutely. I now realize that when I work with a brand, that they will forever be a part of my story. And so I want to make sure we're on the same page going forward. And I want there to be a mutual respect, and not only for me, but for my community.
Speaking of that, one stat that I love to bring up all the time is that the LGBTQ+ community has nearly $4 trillion in global purchasing power.
We've got the purchasing power.
Exactly. Yet brands are still shying away from LGBTQ+ representation. What would you say to brands that are, despite this fact?
I would say, well, that's a disappointment because we're here and we're not going anywhere. And I also think that there are brands that are interested in working with someone like me, but maybe don't know how to, or nervous to get involved or ask the wrong thing. And I say, let's figure it out together. Let's have these hard conversations, because if we don't, then something beautiful can't come from it.
What do you want your legacy to be?
Oh, I think I would like my legacy to be this sort of idea of like celebrity 2.0. Like, how can we live in the spotlight and, have a large following, but try to do it in a way that feels like the kindest, most grounded, fun, silly, empathetic, vulnerable way possible. And I don't know if that can exist yet. I'm still figuring that out. And I think, there's certain circumstances where I might get pushback on that, but I want to see if we can do it differently.
Khaby, thank you so much for joining us. We're thrilled to have you here.
No, thank you too for the inviting.
My first question is, what is the Khaby Lame brand? How do you stand out?
Khaby Lame brand è composto da una compagnia che si occupa in Italia di management, dove appunto loro si occupano di tutti i lavori a livello mondiale. Ma io invece mi occupo solo del mio, cioè fare i video, occuparmi dei content. Ricevo tantissime richieste di lavoro, ma la maggior parte delle richieste che mi mandano ne rifiuto davvero tante, perché voglio essere sempre pulito per quello che porto. Non voglio portare, non ho mai portato dell'alcol e penso che non lo porterò mai. Non porto sponsor di sigarette o qualsiasi cosa che vada a male contro le persone, perché mi seguono tanti ragazzini, tante persone, ed è una grande responsabilità.
How did you get started making content?
Io ho iniziato a fare video quando ero molto, molto piccolo, più o meno 13 anni che faccio video. My inspiration is Will Smith. I'm starting to make a video for him. E vedendo le emozioni che mi dava lui, ho detto, wow, devo far ridere le persone come Will Smith fa ridere me. E ho cominciato su YouTube. Ho cominciato a fare tantissimi video, una marea di video di cui non ha visto praticamente nessuno, sono là ormai dimenticati, ma non fa niente. E dopo YouTube appunto è arrivato il Covid e ho perso il lavoro e ho iniziato a fare contenuti su TikTok. Ho fatto, non è che è andato subito benissimo, ci è voluto un po'. It's not like I make two video and I become famous like this. It's a lot of work. You need to stay focused and look always a new content for your community.
How do you think about the content you're going to post? How do you come up with your ideas for the videos?
Io quando trovo un video, prima di tutto cerco di fare sempre di farlo sempre perfetto, di trovare sempre il costume, la locazione. Non importa quanto ci posso andare a sprecare per un video, però voglio che venga bene. Se tipo ho bisogno di un camion, trovo qualcuno che mi presti un camion, o se ho bisogno di un qualsiasi cosa, si trova, ci si mette lì, si guardano tanti video, si guardano le location di tutti i video, si guardano i vestiti di tutti i video, si mettono i video da quelli che ormai messi in lista, e si fanno in 2-3 giorni capita che facciamo anche 50, 60, 70 video, anche per poi postare durante i mesi.
Which video first made you famous? Is there one video that really caught on and got the momentum and speed going with you?
The video with the banana. Yeah, il video quello con la banana che appunto c'è stato quella volta lì e c'è pure questa scena. This scene is in my short film. I make one short film for Taormina. I explain this, and I see this video, and I ask myself, it doesn't have sense. He cut for 5 times a banana for open it. Why he don't just open the banana? And I go in my room. I put the phone, and I just open this banana and show the world how is it simple open one banana.
And then what happened after that with your career? Once that caught on, how did you?
All the people starting like this, starting like how all this simple is funny, and the people starting laughing about my expression, the situation, and I'm continue to this way.
You're famous for your expressions.
Yes.
How did you? Well, first of all, can you give us a few to the camera of your famous expressions?
This is the famous one.
How did it happen by accident, or did you develop it, or was it something you always did?
It's just me. It's just me.
What is your secret? And so you have 165 million TikTok followers alone. What is your secret for building such a large fan base?
For me, my secret is don't care about the follower. This is the secret. The secret is make the video in first. Make the video with you're happy with this video. A lot of people, a lot of content creator also starting for iniziano perché magari vogliono arrivare, pensano già vogliono arrivare a un punto, diventare famosi, farsi fermare per fare le foto, qualsiasi altra cosa. Ma secondo me questo non è l'importante. L'importante è dare amore a quello che fai, al tuo lavoro. Io lo faccio solo per far ridere le persone, perché a me è quello che ho fatto fin da bambino. Far ridere le persone lo facevo a scuola, l'ho sempre fatto e continuerò a farlo. Qua sui social e un giorno spero nel mondo della recitazione.
Tell me about what is the business of Khaby Lame and how do you make money?
Sono ambassador di Boss, prima di tutto, che ha subito confidato in me subito dal primo anno. Loro mi hanno visto e mi hanno contattato subito, ero un influencer come gli altri, e mi hanno fatto un contratto come ambassador. Ho lavorato con tanti tipi di brand, ho lavorato con Pepsi, ho lavorato con Coca-Cola, ho lavorato con la FIFA, ho lavorato con la World Cup, ho lavorato con tanti tipi di brand. Più che altro la monetizzazione il guadagno non è molto dai video funny che fai. I video funny che fai li fai per te, per una tua crescita personale, per i tuoi profili, per farlo continuare a crescere. La monetizzazione è tutto un'altra cosa, brand e sponsor ormai a parte, che possono pure essere su TikTok e su Instagram, come è stata la sponsor di Mission Impossible with Tom Cruise, e come quella di Oppenheimer. Questi sono sempre sponsor, appunto, che la gente mi chiede, mi dice: Khaby, abbiamo bisogno di hai un'idea magari per Oppenheimer che puoi fare con Robert Downey Jr., cosa ne pensi di questo? Io ci mettiamo là con il team, sì, mi piace questo, no, non mi piace questo, no, mi piacerebbe cambiare questo, no, questo non va bene, e si arriva ad un compromesso per fare il video.
Yeah, I saw the Oppenheimer videos with you and Matt Damon and Robert Downey Jr. How did that come about, and how did you create those videos? How did you have the idea about how those skits would work with those very famous Hollywood stars?
E l'idea, prima di tutto ci deve essere alcuni punti chiave di cui ti dà il cliente. Il cliente ti dice: guarda, in questo, tipo nella missione di tipo Oppenheimer, ci sono alcuni punti da rispettare, e io mi metto lì, creo la situazione attorno, gliela mostro, vedo se al cliente gli piace e faccio il mio video. La maggior parte delle volte alla gente piace il lavoro che gli propongo.
And you mentioned you would like to do more cinema and be an actor yourself. Tell me about that aspiration, and what is the end game for Khaby Lame? What do you want to be doing in 5-10 years? What is your goal with your career and your brand?
Io in 10 anni vorrei appunto entrare nel mondo della recitazione, e non solo, vorrei provare ad aiutare il mondo come posso, provando appunto con le mie forze a fare quello che posso, provare a lasciare il segno, ad aiutare chi ne ha bisogno e a fare qualcosa per l'ambiente. Mi piacerebbe molto in questo aspetto. Non vedo solo una mia crescita personale, magari come attore, spero, o come qualsiasi cosa. Sono molto determinato anche ad aiutare il mondo a cambiare. Mi piacerebbe molto svegliarmi magari un giorno e non vedere più persone che muoiono di fame. Sarebbe una bella cosa.
You've worked with a lot of big stars recently. What would be your dream person to collaborate with, to make content with?
Now with Will Smith. But not just one content. I want one day make one film with Will Smith.
Comedy, action, drama, a little bit of both?
I think both. Yeah.
And you mentioned, you besides cinema, want to make the world a better place. What do you want the Khaby Lame legacy to be?
Vorrei essere un attore and a director also, perché mi piace molto scrivere le storie dei film, dei racconti, come abbiamo scritto tutti insieme il cortometraggio. Infatti tra poco uscirà pure un nuovo cortometraggio sugli incidenti stradali che ho scritto io. Mi piace molto sia scrivere che recitare.
What advice would you give someone starting out in the creator world right now? What tips would you give someone starting out on TikTok or Instagram or you name it, just that want to become creative content influencers?
Di andare oltre alle parole che vengono date, che la maggior parte delle persone si ferma solo alla parola di una persona, che un semplice, è impossibile arrivare a quel punto. Solo quella parola, quelle persone praticamente si fermano. Ma se tu quelle persone lì che ti danno dell'impossibile, loro danno, secondo me, sono i limiti appunto di quella persona lì, ma non sono i tuoi, perché tu dovresti associarti ai limiti di tutte le altre persone. Tu sei tu, vivi la tua vita, fai quello che vuoi fare. A me tante persone, quando ho iniziato a fare i video, m'hanno detto che è meglio che ti trovavi un lavoro, ma lascia perdere perché siete in tanti in famiglia, è meglio che vai a lavorare. Io ho fatto quello che mi piaceva. Non mi guardava nessuno, mi guardava mio zio e è la mia famiglia, ma ho sempre continuato a fare video perché mi piace ed è questa la cosa principale. Amare una cosa e non guardare i limiti degli altri e superare solo i tuoi, poi arrivare ovunque.
Anna Sorokin, aka Anna Delvey, is best known as a convicted con artist who stole some $200,000 from banks, luxury hotels, and individuals while pretending to be the heir to a $67 million trust fund. Her story was then captured in the Shonda Rhimes-produced Netflix miniseries Inventing Anna. Sorokin talks to Forbes about life under house arrest, her lucrative art career, and the inspiration she takes from Sam Bankman-Fried. How's it going?
Well, it's been really busy so far. I'm really happy and grateful that I got the opportunity to be out and I'm not in jail anymore. But yeah, it's been pretty wild.
So what does a day in house arrest look like for you?
Well, so far I've been pretty busy. So I'm like having people over all the time, and like I've done a bunch of shoots. So usually like I'm up pretty early. I'm either doing like an interview or I'm recording my podcast or I'm working on my art. Yeah, so I've been busy so far. I'm sure like I will be talking differently like in 2 months or 3 months from now, but so far.
What do you mean, talking differently?
Well, I'm sure it's going to get old. Like now, it's just like I'm excited, I'm out, and
Yeah.
I have like the phone. I can get food delivery, but yeah, it's very restrictive. Like I cannot go anywhere at all.
Why did you decide to stay in New York?
Well, I just love the city, and I feel like my criminal appeal is still pending, so I should get a chance to finish that. Because like once you're in Europe, like nobody cares. Like all that just becomes completely irrelevant.
Or if you were to be at a party and you were to introduce yourself, what would that introduction be like? How do you describe yourself?
Gosh, oh my gosh, I hate that question. I don't know. I feel like it would be like I'm just assuming people are going to like Google me. So
I saw some of your art. You signed it Anna Delvey. Do you
Yeah.
go by Anna Delvey?
I think so. This is just like people kind of recognize me more, but there's no real difference. I think like both names are being used equally from what I'm understanding.
And to you, there's no difference?
No, I don't have like a split personality or anything. I don't like act different.
You mentioned your art. Tell us a bit about that.
I started doing some sketches during my trial, and I kind of continued while I was in prison. And earlier this year, I created like a little collection of 21 pieces, and I had like a little show earlier this year, and now I'm excited to have new tools, and like I'm using canvases, and I had like a little party doing Miami Basel.
How much does a work of yours go for?
I think it's between 15 and 25,000. It depends on the size of the piece.
And is that your main source of income?
Yes, for now.
Can you share how much you've sold of it?
Well, I sold quite a lot of prints of my artworks that I've made earlier this year, and I'm working on a bunch of other projects. I'm working on my book, my podcast, my dinner series, my clothing line, but everything's in the works, so everything. I've sold like a lot of prints. We sold like, I don't know, over $300,000 worth of prints. Which go for cheaper. I think they start at $250 for like a print for a 9x12. And we sold a couple of originals, I would say around 7 maybe. I don't know, I'm not the one who's like dealing with it. I have.
You made a virtual appearance at Art Basel Miami Beach this year. I don't know if you know, but one of the top moments of Art Basel Miami Beach involved this ATM by an art collective, Mischief, where if you put in your card, it would announce your the amount of money on your card. People were moving money from account to account to either appear higher or to have like 420 as their bank account balance.
I would go the Sam Bankman-Fried route.
What is
down
that?
to my last $100. I'm trying to like make my story to be like, oh, I made a mistake, but I'm trying to turn this around without trying to glamorize the mistake itself. It's like, hopefully people will just take like the event of adversity and kind of like apply it to whatever like bad thing happened to them and like work from there without going back and recommitting the bad thing.
Yeah.
Because it's like there were a lot of times like before Netflix thing happened where like I didn't know what was going on. I didn't know like how long I will have to spend in prison. yeah, like there's just so much uncertainty. You just never know what's going to happen to you. Like it may look glamorous from the outside, but yeah, there's just like so much work that goes in there, and just like so much that I have to deal on a daily basis.
Yeah. And so now, do you have a better sense of timeline for yourself? I know that you're fighting deportation.
Well, I'm a little bit further from deportation than I was before I got released, because once you get released, you get transferred to a non-detained docket, as opposed to when you're in jail, your case is expedited. But even then, immigration is so there's no transparency really, and there's the backlog, especially from COVID, is so long. You never know. Like I might get a response next month or not in 2 years, and nobody really knows.
And so you would be under house arrest. You're under house arrest.
I'm trying to get some of the conditions lifted. Okay. But there's no guarantee I ever will. So yeah, and that's another thing. I just like never know what's going to happen. So maybe I'll be successful or maybe not.
Yeah. Where do you see yourself in 10 or 20 years?
Oh God, I don't know. I'm just trying to take it like day by day and just trying to kind of make the best out of what I'm working with right now, but it's really hard to make any plans. Hopefully I'm working on a project that I like.
Since you've been under house arrest, you've kind of wasted no time in re-entering the public eye through many, many interviews. This is just one of them. Why?
Well, I feel like I'm going to be written about regardless. You know, like people are still going to write that I got released. There will still be photographers outside my house. So like I may as well turn it into something positive and yeah, just kind of channel the attention towards what I'm working on right now and try to move away from, I mean, until now the conversation has been, it's like, oh, crimes, this, that. So it's like, it's been mostly negative. So if I can use that and kind of like give attention to the projects I'm working on now, and like also like with my dinner series, I'm trying to like involve some social good component to it. Like I will be collaborating with some charities that are immigration and criminal justice reform focused. So yeah, well, hopefully people will give me a chance.
Yeah, have you had any difficulties getting sources or funding like for something like this dinner series, support?
No, not really. I mean, I'm not really looking for funding for that. So I'm working with a production company and that will be filmed, and with a charity. Like, I don't know, I have not been to that stage yet.
Do you have any like hesitation about spreading yourself too thin with all of this?
Well, I'm lucky. Like I'm just trying to work with best of the best people. So it's a lot of it is just kind of, yeah, just getting the best person. I had to like find it out the hard way, because you're like kind of trying to kind of cut corners and kind of like be cheap on some people. It just never works. It's like you're just going to end up like figuratively paying for your choices tenfold later on. So yes, and it's always a process, and I'm okay if it like some of it will take longer. I'm just trying not to, like I'm getting all kinds of offers. I'm trying like not to jump on everything.
And do you have any worries about the financial pressures of hiring the best of the best?
Well, obviously we're like discussing the financials beforehand, so
yeah.
Definitely I'm way more careful now with kind of like the optics, because I feel like so many people just can't wait to like for me to just like, oh, Anna owes me $50. Like they just can't wait for me to like slip up and just like yeah, just a quick accuse me. I mean, it's understandable, so I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean it's good.
You wrote an essay and you said that you hoped that by the time Inventing Anna came out, you would have moved on with your life and that it would be a conclusion to a long chapter. Do you feel like that happened?
I mean, clearly not. I'm a little bit further than I was earlier this year, so hopefully now the Netflix series is out, and like, I mean, they're still kind of writing about it, but hopefully the next year something else will come along. So let's see. Yeah, I mean, it's a process. I don't expect it to be overnight.
I'm gonna ask you a question that you get asked a lot, but I'll ask it in two parts. The first part is, how have you changed over the past few years? And the second part is, Are you sick of being asked that question?
No, the question I'm the most of being sick of asked of is like if I watched the Netflix series.
Really? Have you?
No, still did not. I mean, yeah, that can change, I guess, any day, but yeah, still not, well, just I've been through the whole like criminal justice and immigration system, and I just met so many people, and I totally kind of switched my priorities because all I used to care about like kind of earlier was very kind of like shallow and superficial, and I thought like I was so well traveled and like I knew all kinds of people, but I did not. It was like still the same like type of person, like somebody who travels a lot, like who cares about art, and I was not really exposed to the people who like get to go to jail. So it was like a really eye-opening experience, and yeah, I did learn a lot. It's like you cannot just go for something like that and stay the same. Yeah, and like I have a lot more interest in like in kind of the whole like politics and society, because I've been affected by it myself. Like when Biden got elected, they lifted my ICE warrant, and that's the only reason I got released last year, and because he tried to like put moratoriums on all deportations. And 6 weeks later, there were more in the clear with the rules, and this is why I got rearrested, not because of anything I've done like myself. It's like literally just the rules and the switch of the administration.
What do you feel like more people should know about you?
Well, hopefully they will realize that my intentions were never like to commit fraud or to commit any crimes, and like I've generally made some mistakes, and yeah, hopefully it will give me a chance to move on and not just like try to. I think like it happens more to women than it does to men. Like women are like being witchified a lot, like, you know, when it's like it's normal for men to like make mistakes and fail, but women are like witches and cons and like so deceiving, and like they just like out to like get something from you, which I think is not fair.
What does it feel like being famous for being a con artist?
I don't see myself as a con artist, so but I do realize that I mean, I wouldn't even say that I ever wanted to be famous. I was just working on my project and I was trying to make something happen, and I guess it just like attracted all this media attention. Well, I feel kind of responsibility not to glamorize crime and just kind of like to show people, like hopefully I'm not going to inspire anybody to commit crimes in order to become famous. So yeah, hopefully people, like it's just very kind of hard to show somebody, because I guess when people like Google me, they see like me going to trial and I'm out of jail, like from a photo shoot to photo shoot, but nobody really gets to see like the jail part of it, because like there are no cameras in jail, and I spent a lot of time in there, so, and like it wasn't all great and glamorous. So
do you want to tell me a bit about that?
Well, yeah, it's just like there are no photographers and Rikers, and it's still like it's not great. Like I made it work, but and it's still like it's a tough place, and
yeah,
nobody, it's like you should not, hopefully like nobody will decide like let me go to jail and become famous. So
Alix, thanks for joining us. We're thrilled to have you here.
Thank you for having me.
My first question is, what is the Alix Earle brand? In this whole ocean of creators, how do you stand out?
I think the Alix Earle brand is about being unapologetically yourself, not being afraid to mess up, not being afraid to be a mess, because I think a lot of creators get lost in trying to look so perfect or have a perfect life, and I think that's what social media tries to capture sometimes. And I think when you stray away from that and kind of show the imperfections that go on in day-to-day life and it's normal, that's kind of what the Alix Earle brand is about.
What kind of imperfections, what kind of, again, disasters have you shared that have kind of really resonated with your followers?
A big thing which I think sparked my following was struggling with acne. I started to post that last summer, right before I went into my senior year of college, and I think a lot of people resonated with that, and that was kind of the first time I tried out this kind of imperfect posting, and that's when I started to get a really good audience and was able to engage with people, and people resonated with that much more than they did when everything is fully polished and glammed and ready to go.
Yeah, you mentioned, I mean, so much of social media is a facade or filtered or just the highlight reel, not the not the real behind the scenes. What kind of sparked you to show that imperfection, to focus on your acne at that point? Was it a fluke, or was it something you tried to do consciously to be like, this is real me?
Well, I had been posting on TikTok for a few years, and I had a smaller following. It was kind of steady though, nothing was really growing too much, and I would regularly post because I loved TikTok, and I didn't want to get in front of the camera anymore because of my skin. I was so self-conscious about it, and I wasn't posting, and it wasn't making me happy, and I was like, you know what, like, this is just so fake. I would layer on like layers of makeup, and I would go in front of the camera, turn all the filters on, and I'm like, nothing's here, my skin is clear. But that's just not real. So I one day took the filters off. I just showed it. I was so nervous when I first posted it. I texted my friends a million times. I was like, should I take it down? Should I take it down? And it ended up going over really well. And the video got a bunch of views. So I kind of kept playing into that a little bit and then kept going with it from there.
You said you were on TikTok for a few years. Like, how did you get into it? Were there any specific creators or influencers that you admired and kind of got you into the game?
I downloaded TikTok probably around like the quarantine time when everyone did. Everyone was bored in the house, and they had like all the big influencers. Everyone's going out to LA, and I was like, oh, this seems so cool. So I downloaded TikTok, and I was trying out a bunch of different things on there, but it wasn't really working for me. But I knew I loved posting and I loved the app, so it took a few years before I kind of found my niche on there, which actually came from me doing live streams of doing my makeup to go out in Miami, and I would talk a little bit more and they could see my personality. I'd be with my roommates, and then I was like, why are my live streams getting more views than the videos I'm posting? So I just decided to make these getting ready videos, or getting ready lives, into videos I was posting.
What was the moment when you realized, wait a minute, this is not just something I like, a hobby, but this could be a thing, this could be a business?
I think it was my junior year. A few brands started to reach out to me, and I was super excited about it, and I tried working with people. Like, at first it wasn't even paid deals, I just was excited to be doing that and excited that a brand would gift me something, and I really just found a love for it, and I liked sharing with my audience different products and brands that I liked, and liked getting their feedback too.
So Alix, this started catching on when you were a junior in college. How did you balance being a student and being an entrepreneur and creator?
It was tough, but honestly so rewarding. And my senior year is honestly when things started to get like kind of crazy with balancing school, work, traveling for work, and maintaining a social life at the same time. I found though that I was able to apply what I was learning either in the classroom, in my everyday work, or vice versa. And it became super helpful for me and my classmates, and sharing with them what I knew kind of from like firsthand experience. And I was talking to my professors, and they were saying that's kind of what grad school is like a little bit, because most people go out and work for a year or two, and then they come back and they kind of have that firsthand experience to kind of give advice or see what they learned, or you just pay a little bit more attention when you're understanding how this really applies to you. So it was really great, actually.
And you studied business, right?
Yes, marketing.
You should have been teaching the class, not the professors, right? Was it weird being like, I'm sure they were teaching social media and digital everything in class, and then there you are in class and someone who's kind of cracked that code. What was that like?
Yeah, my first digital marketing class I took, they would teach us about the analytics behind the posts and everything. And that's when that was my junior year. And I was so intrigued by it. And I was like, wow, like these hashtags are helping and everything. So I was super intrigued by it. And then things kind of took off for me, but they don't have so much like a social media influencer marketing class, I guess. And I was talking to one of my professors right before I graduated, and she was like, I would love to have you come back and speak at class and share like a little bit of your knowledge, because it's such a new industry. So it's not really like a full-on class yet, but it is cool that I'll be able to kind of go back and share what I know.
That's so cool. And speaking of analytics, how do you choose what to post, how you're posting, and like when to post? It's such a blank space. How do you decide, like, I'm going to do this video, this content, this is going to be live, this is going to be a reel, this hashtag? What goes, like, take me through that process?
A lot of what I post is in real time, and sometimes I'll have like my day planned out on, I'll know certain things that I can do or post during the day, like if I'm going to do a get ready with me and an outfit video. But sometimes I honestly just pick up the phone and I start recording, and those are the things that do the best because it's so like authentic and in real time. But I do look into like the times I post. I try to do it when like I know people are awake and on their phones, and at least in my time zone. So yeah, that's kind of how I go about that.
Do you kind of look for maybe hot trends or topics or even songs, or you just kind of do what you feel is organic with you?
I mean, going through my For You page, you definitely see when there's a trend or a trending audio, and I'll kind of sit there and think how I can twist it and make it into something that works with my brand and works with me. And I always think those are super fun to do.
Well, you're a business major. How do you make money these days?
A lot of it is through brand deals and partnering with brands, whether it's like a collaboration or a post. And that's been a lot of fun for me because it's super cool to see like what goes on behind the scenes and all the marketing and stuff.
Can you give me a few examples of partners you've had?
I work with L'Oreal. I just did a deal with Peloton. I got to work with like Wawa, which is so fun because that's like my favorite place to go out and eat.
You're a Jersey girl in Central Jersey, which does exist, by the way.
Yeah.
And that is very on brand. That's very authentic.
Yeah, Wawa, and then they brought it down to Miami when I went to college. So that was super cool when they reached out to me to work with them because I am a diehard.
What's your go-to order?
I was always like a meatball sub type of girl. Or I get this like weird breakfast quesadilla, no matter the time of day. So good.
I like that. You don't really have meatball subs and L'Oreal mentioned in the same sentence, but you can do it all. Yeah. How do you, and speaking of that, like when you think about your brand and your authenticity, how do you decide if, I want to work with this company, this brand versus someone else, or like, that's probably not the best fit? How does that work?
So what I've found through doing all of this is that it only is going to go over well if I genuinely like the product and the brand, or it's something that I think my audience will like. Otherwise, the audience can see right through it. They know it's a money grab. It's not good for you or the trust you have with your followers. So I always like to, if I haven't tried the product or whatever it is yet, try it out for a few months, see if I like it, and then, go and promote it because I have a big platform, so I don't want to put anything out there that is bad or that I don't think that they'll actually like and want to spend their money on. So that's kind of the process that goes on there, and it's been a big learning process over the years with that, but I just have kind of like found my little niche with that, and it works a lot better. You
don't have to name names or name brands, but you have any funny ones that people approached you for a thing and you're like, are you kidding me? Like any funny offers on the table?
Yes. I actually remember this was back in December, January, and this was like the biggest offer I'd ever seen. And it was for this device that I just knew was not going to work, or I don't know, maybe, but like I was just like, this seems like a little ridiculous. And I was like looking at it and I'm like, oh my gosh, but I'm like, I cannot take this offer because I'm like, that is just not, that will not go over
What
well.
did the device claim to do?
It was like a helmet, and it was going to get rid of like your headaches or your migraines or whatever. But I don't know if I started posting in that, how like, well, that would have gone over with my audience. I think they would have thought it was funny.
And speaking of audience, you have a really, like, out of all the top creators, you have one of the highest engagement rates, and that's fans that interact with you, whether they're sharing, liking, commenting. Our friends at Influential say that if an engagement rate's over 1%, that's like you're an all-star. Yours are in double digits. How do you explain that, or what do you think causes your fan base to really react and interact and with your posts and the view?
I think if you want to get the engagement, you have to also give that engagement with your audience. Like, I love replying to their questions. I love laughing at the jokes they make. I love answering questions they have in my DMs. And I just think you kind of have to have that like personal connection with them a little bit. Otherwise you just feel like another person behind the screen, and I don't know, you don't have that relationship. So I think it's all about how much effort you kind of put in with connecting with them as well.
How much time does that take? Like how many time, that sounds very literally hands-on. How many like hours or how much time you spend a day, interacting with your community?
A lot, like pretty much, I don't know how many days or how many hours a day I'm on social media, but when I'm on my social media, I am interacting across like various platforms, but I don't know, a lot, too many probably.
Yeah, and there obviously, you said, this kind of this huge following happened not by accident, but it took you like you started being vulnerable and took you on surprise, and you have such big engagement. Are there any trade-offs, whether it's being on all the time or being now suddenly recognizable or having people commenting that might be saying like negative things? What are the trade-offs?
It was definitely weird at first to see people talk about me as if I like couldn't see what they were saying myself. But I know that comes kind of with the job, and I love it so much. So I really wouldn't trade it for the world, but I think sometimes it's hard to see stuff that's not true about you. That's where I get like the mean stuff. I'm like, okay, like whatever. But when they're spreading lies or saying something that's not true, that's where I want to like butt in. But I just kind of like have learned to like chill out, take a step back, and
let the haters. Yeah. That's what they want to hear.
Yeah.
You work with some really big brands. You have huge engagement rates. You studied business. Do you have any entrepreneurial or kind of founder aspirations? It's great you have brand deals. Is there any thoughts of having an Alix Earle brand in some way?
Yeah, that's definitely the goal, is to eventually be promoting something that I've produced myself, and I'm still kind of figuring that out. There's a lot of different options for different ventures and a lot of different paths I could go down, but I've been trying to take my time with it all and taking a step back, because when I do something, I want it to be something I'm really passionate about, and I want it to be 110%. So I don't just want to like take any possibility and do it like half-ass.
Cool. Any kind of any industries or areas that kind of might be on your list?
I think something with, makeup is probably most on brand for me, but I've been looking into a bunch of different industries and drinks, and I don't know, seeing what is gonna go over best.
And you just graduated from college in May. Congratulations, you're 22.
Thank you.
And I saw, I did some research, and you already have an Alix Earle scholarship.
Yes.
Tell me about that. How that very few people have scholarships, let alone people who have been out of college less than a year. How does that work out?
I mean, if you were to have told me that by the time I was graduating there would be a scholarship in my name, like I just would not have believed it. And I really loved the school so much, and I got so much out of it. So I figured, like, why not give back in some way? And I want to stay connected. I want to be a part of the alumni program. I want to really engage with the students and help them kind of follow their dreams. So I'm really excited about it, and looking forward to meeting the students and kind of being a mentor for them.
What do students have to prove to get the scholarship? Is it focused on a certain area, skill set?
So it's in the business school, and it's focused on juniors and seniors, just because I think at that point, sometimes you go in freshman year, you don't really know what you want to do. So someone who kind of like has that vision for themselves, and, like maybe they just need a little financial assistance and a mentor.
What do you want your legacy to be, the Alix Earle legacy?
I think the Alix Earle legacy at the University of Miami is about doing the unimaginable. And I want it to be a testament to students that they can really live out their dreams, and, the school can provide them with whatever it is they want to do, and they are smart and they are powerful, and yeah.
What is your advice to someone out there who wants to build a massive fan base and following? What's a secret for building a huge follower base?
I think find a niche and stick to it, and believe in yourself. It's not going to happen right away, but find something that you love to post and create, because you're going to be doing it a lot. So make sure you like it and stick to it.
Cool. What advice, you have a lot of brand deals, what advice do you have for brands or companies to think about before they're going to partner with a specific influencer? What should these companies think about before they're doing deals?
I think it's super important for brands to look at the creators' organic and natural posts and see if their product fits into that, because if it doesn't align, like we said before, like it's not going to go over well. It's not going to be a good investment for them to sponsor someone for something that they're not going to get any return on. So I think just kind of making sure that they're not pushing it too much and that it kind of like feels natural to what they already create, and giving them a creative brief that allows them to maintain their normal posting style.
So no headache helmets.
Yeah.
Good to know. How do you balance, serving your fans and followers, but then also serving your business and your brand that you're building?
I mean, I think that kind of goes hand in hand. They love when I'm recommending them products and different brands for them to try, and obviously the brands love that as well. So I think it kind of like plays into each other a little bit, and I just try to promote things that I really, really love so that I know they'll really like it as well, hopefully, and the brands will be happy.
Who is your dream collaborator? If you could do a project with somebody out there in the world, who would it be?
I think Blake Lively's pretty cool. I've always loved her, and I think she's super like authentic and real, so maybe her.
How does the Alix Earle brand make money? How do you monetize this huge community and following that you have?
So a lot of it is brand deals and brand partnerships, whether that's a collaboration with them or different posts, and something I'm super excited about, and which is going to kind of be my new work project for this year, is I'm coming out with a podcast. So I think that'll be super cool, and I'll get to kind of show a different side of me to my audience.
Very cool. What's it going to be about? Are you an interviewer? Are you going to have guests on? What's the kind of the plan?
No, it's kind of going to be about my life and kind of feeling like a little debrief of what's going on week to week, kind of like longer form get ready with me videos. So I'm really excited, and I think that's going to be my next big project for this year.
That's so cool. Do you have a partnership with that? Is that on one of the big podcast platforms or?
So Alex Cooper started a network called Unwell, and it's going to be on there, and I was one of the first creators to get signed with it, so I'm really excited, and she's super talented, so I'm kind of excited to have her as like a mentor with the whole podcast world, because obviously she's been killing it, so I'm excited.
She's huge. She's another Forbes top creator.
Yeah.
Under 30. That's awesome. Well, Alix, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Monet, thank you for joining us.
Thank you so much for having me. I cannot believe I'm in the seat right now. Super excited to talk.
Glad to have you. So my first question is, describe to me what the Monet and McMichael brand is.
It's kind of crazy to think that like Monet is a brand. It's just something bigger than me now. And I'm honestly so proud to see like the audience that is kind of gathered around to, the girls' corner. It's all things safe. I feel like at the end of the day, it's just about being yourself, the realest version of yourself, unapologetically. So I love it.
And there's so many, to be a creator these days, all you need is a phone. You have a massive following, massive influence. How do you stand out against that sea of just everyone else on the web?
I think with social media nowadays, it's like you never know what's kind of like real or not. So I feel like you always know that in my corner, it's just the realist. I kind of feel like the big sister, kind of where it's like, you can look up to me whether you're older or younger. Like it's a place where, we can all learn from each other.
Is there a spark, or is there one video or one piece of content that you posted that kind of started accelerating or making all the difference in your brand or in your business?
Mm-hmm. I feel like it definitely was a slow and steady growth over time. There was a few moments that went viral. I remember one of my first Get Ready With Me's where I felt like there was a true connection where, I'm just oversharing about my life in the corner and like, we can all relate as humans on some level. But yeah, it definitely started as like a hobby in school and just kind of sharing anything and everything from, beauty or just like lifestyle or,
Were you posting just as a hobby for fun, or when you started, was it an aspiration to be a social media star?
Yeah, no, I definitely had dreams. Like I grew up on YouTube, but loved watching like just all of the creators live their best life, go on brand trips. Like it was definitely a dream, but nothing I ever thought could ever be my life. So it definitely was a hobby at first. I never thought it could ever come this far. I'm so just shocked. I had to pinch myself. It happened so fast too. Like a year ago, I was in nursing school, so I mean, I can't believe I'm sitting here right now.
Yeah, tell me, you graduated a year ago. Congratulations, Rutgers, Jersey. Love it.
Jersey.
And nursing schools, this is super intense. Like, and how did you balance nursing school and then your creator platform?
Yeah, I feel like it really was a passion that I didn't realize that I had inside. That like, and for nursing school too, it was such a big passion. But I feel like I always made time, whether it was just like, I'm really big on routine where it's like Monday through Friday, I'm clocking into my classes, putting that time aside to study. So I did have that free time where I could do whatever I wanted. And I felt like in nursing school, a lot of people like had that mindset where it was like, I have no life, like I can't do anything. It's like, just cross your T's, dot your I's, and like have a Saturday and Sunday. I feel like that works for me. So,
what was your first paid social gig? When was the first time you went from became professional, I guess, or started thinking that this could actually be a job?
Yeah, it was last February, 2022. So I'm like, that's burnt in my brain where I was just like, okay, I'm gonna actually, put my all on this and see where I can like take it. But it was a hair care deal, and I loved the brand, and it was super exciting. I remember talking to my mom about it. I'm like, they're asking for my rates. I'm like, what do I even say? Like, where do I start? It was kind of an insane conversation, but yeah, it's definitely, that's where I started.
How do you make money these days?
So TikTok is definitely my biggest platform. And yeah, there's paid partnerships there, which it's insane that these brands that I absolutely love, like, have the opportunity to partner with and kind of just, share the love, have a code so people can get a discount, and also just, just talk all things beauty. And it's cool to see like the reach now that, I'm moving into my new house now, which is such a blessing. It's so insane. But even like household partnerships, it's interesting seeing how how many brands are tapping into like social media nowadays.
What kind of partnerships? Or can you name a few of these collaborations you've done? Yeah,
so beauty is definitely my main category. So recently I worked with YSL Beauty, which was super exciting. NARS, MAC, some of my top like 3 favorites. And then so fashion, I'm getting to my fashion bag. I'm really excited about that. Excited for Fashion Week coming up. And then for home, I'm working with, I'm trying to get my foot in the door with a few brands like Pottery Barn or West Elm. So it's super cool to see kind of the reach there.
That's so cool. Have you ever, you have to name names, but any funny offers you've had for collaborations that you just knew weren't a right fit or just kind of bizarre?
I think I know my audience well enough where sometimes it just wouldn't make sense for me to accept a partnership. But yeah, it's nice when the right ones do land in my inbox.
That's so cool. Do you have any, as you have this big platform, big brand, your marketing is free, you have to pay for marketing, right? Do you have any, what's the new plans for maybe entrepreneurship or starting your own brands or lines or businesses?
Yeah, that's definitely been more of a conversation recently, because I think it was such a shock for a while, but I was just like, I can't even think that large. But now I'm working on just building my team slowly and just having more resources and just those bigger conversations. I definitely love to start a brand, I feel like. And I think right now is my discovery year, though I say, is like working with different brands, whether it's fashion or makeup or skincare, and seeing like what I really love. And I have some fun collabs coming up that I think I'll learn a lot from.
Tell me about your team and how you've gone from a nursing graduate to now you're running a business. How do you do that on a day-to-day basis?
Yeah, so I was doing it on my own for the first year. And then, once I hit my senior year of nursing school, I was like, I don't know if I can balance this all by myself. Just even answering emails was like taking up half my day. So I was on the lookout, kind of looking for agencies or managements to help me out. And I was connected with one, and it was a beautiful, relationship for a while. And then, I recently, expanded my team, working with an agency now, which I'm super excited about. Because, I mean, the possibilities are just so endless. It's kind of crazy. But I think what's really important to me is like having people I can trust, and just it's not about like the name or like the numbers or any of those things. It's really about like that personal connection to me. So it's about like just that care, that mutual respect. And yeah, I'm super proud of my team. I'm really excited.
Speaking of connections, so one of our, for the Forbes top creator list, one of the main ingredients or factors is engagement score. How much your followers and fan base engage with their content, liking, commenting, sharing. Yours is off the charts. It's incredibly high. How do you attribute such a strong connection between you and your fan base?
Well, I think it goes back to, like I said, just building that team around me that cares. I think like it's a mutual feeling. Like I really care about my audience, the people who listen and, you know, can relate. And when I meet people on the streets who like recognize me and just like, I love your videos, like that goes so far. Like I do it for that one person, and I feel like it's just a friendship. Like it's crazy. Like I have all these people, like just how the internet can connect people on just another level.
How many hours are you on social media a day?
I feel like I've been trying to work on that like balance. I think, you know, it's interesting because it's like, it's fun, but also it's work. So it's like, you know, scrolling for inspiration and also, but like, you know, trying to create that boundary where it's like good for my mental health, just to disconnect and be present. I think I've really been enjoying that lately. And just more so planning ahead versus before is more like sporadic, like in the moment, just like capturing everything versus now it's like, okay, I need to make sure like this day I'm filming, this day I'm like really spending for myself.
How much work is it to maintain that engagement? Do you feel yourself having to respond often and kind of curate? Like, tell me how that works, like day in the life.
Yeah, I definitely feel like kind of that pressure whenever like I do kind of chill out for a day or two or like miss a YouTube video upload. I'm just like, I feel like there's a sense of like, you know, responsibility to like show up. And because I am a consumer first, like when my favorite creators wouldn't post for a while, I'd be like, girl, where are you? Like, give me an update or something like that. So I just feel like that level of kind of respect where it's like communication but also I love doing it, like responding to my comments, you know, because I guess like I do put work into creating the video. So I love the feedback. I feel like it's always positive. And yeah, I think it's super fun, but definitely something I cherish, just that relationship. So
how do you decide what you're going to post that day or the topic or the you know, the content?
I feel like inspiration, like acting on your inspiration, like, and every day there's something new, something you can just, you know, whether it's the smallest thing or something you'd be like, oh, like no one would be interested in that. It's like, chances are like someone probably is like, I was talking about getting trash bins and like toilet paper rolls, like things like that for my house. It's like adulting things that like people probably relate on. Honestly, it helps when I have fun plans going on that week. I can kind of plan around that and like do a get ready with me video or style with me, or just simple things like, here's my grocery list, this is what we're going shopping, like let's go.
And you mentioned, you know, oversharing, and before, you're very real, you're very open with your followers. Are there any downsides or drawbacks to that, to kind of living so open in front of the world?
Recently, just like privacy, I've kind of been more just aware about just, you know, moving to a new place and just making sure I am like protected. And I think also just people having access to so much about my life. It's like, you can use it against me in some ways, and just having so much access to my relationships in my life and just like, oh, you know, people are very observant, obviously remember things and can have like just a track record. Not saying that like anything, I think it's something I'm more aware of now, for sure.
And as you're going into beauty and then style, design, and now home design, do you have a dream collaborator? If there was one person across the universe that you could do a video with or, you know, do a project with, who would that person be right now?
I think Rihanna's like the first person that comes to my head. I love that woman down, and like Beyonce. Like I think music is super important to me as well. I think it's a good way I've connected with my audience too, is like getting ready with like music in the background. It's like, I love this song. Like there's another kind of like connection there. But yeah, I think Riri, she is such a boss in so many ways. Her beauty line, her skin line, her fashion, music, a mother. Yeah, I think that's the one.
If you could design a post or a video with you and Rihanna, what would you guys be doing?
Maybe a song. That would be fun.
Do you do music?
I think I like music.
Do you sing? Are you a musician?
I hit a tune here or there.
Okay. Good, we have that in common. I get, you know, one tune a year, and it's good. I can hit it.
I could be the support. I could be the backup vocals. Okay. You know, I'll be your backup dancer.
And you just finished your nursing degree recently. What are your plans for the future? Do you want to go into that field, or that was great, but this whole other kind of, you know, this whole other option opened up for you?
There was definitely a fork in the road where I had to decide like which one I was going to put like my all into. And I mean, this being my career now is an absolute dream. And I definitely am chasing it right now, but I'm so glad I graduated. I got my degree, and I learned so much in nursing school that I feel like could never, you know, something that can never be taken away from me, where it's like just about myself and being a person, just an adult, and also just all the amazing things in the medical field. But yeah.
Do you find that what you learned there, are those skills to graduate, how do you use those when you build your business now?
I think my first thing is like my support system. It's like having that support, whether it's one friend or like a group of friends that you study with. I think that's important too, like in kind of building this career, it's having people to lean on, and you know, my family is like so important to me. My friends, like keep your family, so I just keep them so close. So I think I would not be here without them, and just them cheering me on from the sidelines too, and just like and every day just listening and, you know, inspiring me. So yeah, I think that's a big thing that kind of has applied.
What would you want your legacy to be?
I think just believe in yourself, because I know so many people, even myself, just lived in so much like doubt for a while, where it's like you stop yourself from so much, you know, you would never know. There's so much more, I always say, just like positive you can give than just like a hater could like ever kind of like stop you, you know? So
is there one field that like you see your future in, or that you would dream to kind of, you know, dominate?
I feel like I love it all right now. I feel like that's my job right now, is to figure out what it is. I think right now I'm really excited about fashion, like I said, and also something like going into lifestyle, kind of like family. I'm super excited to be a mother. I feel like that's like a big part, I think, with sharing my life in general online. I feel like I'm really excited to go on that journey and just, you know, learn and grow from that too. So
how many TikTok followers do you have right now?
3.5 million.
5 million. What is your secret for building a massive fan base?
I feel like it's just like, don't be afraid, don't let fear hold you back. I feel like that's like the biggest thing, is people are like, I'm afraid I'm going to be judged, or I'm afraid that this isn't gonna land how it's supposed to. It's like, the right ones will stick, I think.
And you work with a ton of big brands, especially in the beauty world. What advice would you give to brands and businesses to think about before they decide to work with a specific influencer?
Ooh, that's a good question. I feel like definitely do your research and like kind of seeing their audience and what they engage with. And yeah, it makes sense for a beauty brand to reach out to me, because I'm constantly talking about products and constantly, you know, you see my comments, people are like, okay, what blush color was that? Or like, what brand is like, this product looks so amazing, like what is that? So yeah, I think it's definitely, don't work with creators just because of the numbers. It's like, see what is resonating with their audience. That's the most powerful part.
And how do you kind of balance serving your fan base, then also serving your growing business?
Yeah, I think I still have so much fun posting, and I love, now that a lot of stuff is behind the scenes, I feel like now that we've kind of grown to, you know, something like this I can't share until, you know, next month, but it's kind of building up that excitement every day, and like through just kind of little things, keeping them, you know, checking in and staying engaged that way, you know, instead of like that instant gratification where it's like, this is like result to like start to finish. It's more of so like you have to come along the journey, but also I can still like, you know, work behind the scenes and have stuff coming out consistently.
Monet, thank you so much for joining us.
Yay! Thank you for having me. This is so awesome. I can't wait to tell my mom and dad as they see this. Hi family, love you.